Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Yeah, good. I'm good. So. Good.
Sheila, congratulations on your citizen's trip.
Thank you.
It was very good.
I'm American. I'm running to president. Are you guys support me?
Yeah.
we can go to Canada. Anyway, it's nice. Weather's nice. Then we have some new people coming. Completely new. All sheep, Tima.
Yeah.
Do you see? Yeah, good. Do you see? We are same, this kind of small, not big. Anyway, everybody set a perfect motivation to achieve enlightenment benefit all sentient beings. Therefore, I do my practice, I listen teaching, and study to benefit for others. Goal, achieve enlightenment is our main goal, main. You know, the teaching say, when you start to meditation, it's your motivation. When you start motivation, that's your start beginning or practice. You know, meditation. When you start the motivation, that can or that is you start to meditation. Then when you start to lam-rim, when you think about dead impermanent, then perfect impermanent. When you think about that, that's you start to lam-rim. Then your real practice is when you have faith or you follow the karma. We have many problems. We say, it's karma. No, even the people who used to Buddhism long time, they say, it's karma. But if something happens, they cannot deal. They say, oh, this is for me too terrible. You know, if you really believe or trust karma, then we are not that really stressed. karma, then conditions come there, then the results start. When we have some good things happen, also they come from cause conditions. Bad things happen, that also come from cause conditions. Without cause conditions, any improvements never happen, never start. Therefore, if everyone trust or believe, or karma is very good for us. Subdue our mind, calm down our mind, right? For example, if you build the karma, something bad to happen, maybe something hurt you bad, you don't want to hurt something, maybe something terrible happen. During that time, we think karma, oh, this is my karma. Then you blame the karma. Because you really create the karma, then cost that the results coming. We have gun. Gun, what called bull? We say bull, right? Bull has power to kill, hurt the others. But condition you have to pull the trigger. Yeah. Then you shoot here, then they will already go out. Conditions will also be very important. Therefore, we have limitless, beginningless lives. We create a good karma, bad karma, many different we create karmas. Then the results, when the cause, those conditions come together, then the results start. Therefore, for example, we have different colors. We all same human being, but we all different colors, different hair, different eyes. But now we come together here, small room. We know each other. Why they come? What happened? Just happened, or they come from cause conditions? This we create the cause. This causes we create many years, many long time. We don't know. Now that condition is here some centers. You guys like to enter Lord Buddhism. Then we have to come together. This condition. You really create the cost. We come study Dharma, interest on meet Buddhism. Now we are at the center, come here, then we say, oh, there's something. Go search the Google. Then we can find. This is the condition. Therefore,
so it is said in the lam-rim that the beginning of the practice of the Dharma is when you started to have faith in karmic law of cause and effect. So karma, is the action, any kind of activity that you engage in is the karma. So right now, by gathering together and doing all these practices or prayers together, we are accumulating virtuous actions. And the result of this will be happiness. And then again, if we get angry, and out of that anger, if we say some bad words to somebody else, then that becomes a bad karma. We create a bad karma. And the result of that will be suffering. And that's why I always said in the teachings that we should not cause any harm to others if we cannot benefit them. So the reason for that is because if we cause harm to others, the result of that will be suffering for ourselves. So therefore, if we have belief in the karmic law of cause and effect in that way, or understanding about that, then whatever kind of situation we fall into, we'll be able to control our mind. So we are advised or told to believe in karmic law of cause and effect, practice dharma and so forth. So therefore, if one have the understanding of this karmic law of cause and effect, understands that whatever result we experience is the result of the karma or the action that we ourselves have created in the past. When we know that, then then when we experience some kind of result, then either we can try to avoid that by eliminating the cause of that, or if there is nothing we can do to avoid it, if it's too late to avoid it and we have to go through that, then by convincing ourselves, thinking that, oh, this is the result of the karma that I myself have created, and so I deserve this, or I ought to experience this. By thinking like that, one will not feel so much difficult, or will not suffer so much. And so when we fall into that kind of circumstances where we have to suffer or face the difficulties, then of course there's a condition from outside which creates these circumstances, but also it is because of oneself that one is there in that circumstances.
Good example, bad example. Maybe we could bad example, a bad example. Uncomfortable.
So for example, if someone makes you become angry and makes you feel unhappy, and so that unhappiness you experience, is it just because of that person's causing you to become angry, or it is also you who made that who made that suffering to become possible?
You think
are we involved in that or not? So that is very good if you understand that. So we are not, normally, even if I understand, we are not able to accept that it is partly our fault also. We think that it's completely our other person's fault. We are not able to say that, oh, it was my mistake.
다시 남지 내가 추이되는 것도 I'm sorry, I understood that. And this corner of Sadi Kalaya, you don't want to say, I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry, I understand.
So normally, when you're not angry, then you made a small mistake, then you ought to say, you tend to say, I'm sorry, but then when you're angry and when you blame another person, for the difficulties that you're experiencing, then you don't say, I'm sorry at that time. That's because, you have this strong grasping at the I and thinking that I'm right and it's all other person's fault.
And 다 이야도 두세대 지금 때 마시는 파 너도 지금 가가샤고 왔으면 내 약보다 자세 야보다 내 두셔도 진짜 두셔도 시차에 내려고 너도 무슨 도움도 왔어.
And also the good and bad, it depends, right? It depends on the situation, or it's interdependent, right? You can't say this is completely good or this is completely bad. You say this is good because it's better than this. This is bad because it's worse than that. So that's how you label something as good or bad.
아니 사실 좀 된대야. 아니 또 고마도 있는 거 아니 다 저랑 맞추나 아니 다 맞고 같이 오래서 아니. 근데야 조심을 말해서.
And so when Buddha was about to pass away, then someone asked, if you are not around, then who should we seek for advice?
아니 롱화동 통도 다 롱화동 통도나 아니 대체스 아니 머로화동 통도 다 머로화동 통도나 아니 대마체스 그래서 말했어.
And then Buddha said, you check yourself, whether it is appropriate or not. If it is appropriate, then you do it. If it's not appropriate, then don't do it.
어떻게 다 남선다래. 수리 강한 제외 샤워들어야 돼요. 아니 문제 가지고 거나 다들 제외 와래. 내가 야포지오나 아니 저도 제 좋아요.
And so whatever actions we engage in, we should check, whether that action will bring any good results or bad results. So if it's going to bring a good result, then we should engage in that action. If it's going to bring bad results, then we should not engage in that action.
다시 내차 차당 공부 끝나는데 여기까지 해봐야 다 다시 다 두점씩 말해서.
And so mostly if we engage in any kind of action motivated by delusions like attachment, anger, ignorance, and so forth, then it will mostly bring suffering. So therefore, we should not engage in any kind of activity that is done, done with the intention of attachment, anger, and so forth.
양 공부 야부 끝내는데 양 지금 도달아 양 지금 샤워 주부치네야 나도 다시 그래요.
And so sometime, of course, we can benefit others, by engaging in rough actions, seemingly rough actions. But if you do with a good motivation, even though it seems like a rough an action, but that can benefit others also.
나 삼소야 소수문에 뒤끌어도 끌어야 보였어. 이나야. 뒤끌어도야 난서다 나자 키워나 소수문에 끌어야 보였어. 나 끌어야 버려요 말해.
So even though if one thinks that one's motivation is good, but if it is again done a good motivation, with the ego, with the ego, pride and so forth, then that doesn't become good again.
그래서 나 그걸로야 보였어. 나 가시다 그거도 야고 말다 그 샤워도 야고 그 제가 말해서.
So even though one might think that's a good motivation, but it's not, because it's done with that ego, and therefore the action that one engaged in, will not become good as well.
어떻게 그뒤에 봐야나 얘들아 이치 저당 아니 지금 수수 끊어나 다 샤워라 가르쳐봐라 내 지금 다른 거 전부 채워나 내 선물도 안 이렇게 채워줘야.
So anyway, it's very important, to believe or understand the karmic law of cause and effect, and whatever activities one engages in, it is always important to check the motivation for that. The karma, of course, has many subtleties, so those are very difficult to understand.
And
so, try to think about that. If you have a good understanding about karmic law of cause and effect, then you'll be able to stand against any kind of troubles or sufferings.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so now let's go through the book. Things we don't get to cover much of the text. So now this is the fourth one, which is in outline number 98, page 257, if you are using the book with the blue cover. It's the title, it's his or her kindness in attracting you into his or her circle through material gifts. So let's read through the whole part of the section. It's all the way through the day 9. Okay? His kindness in attracting you into his circle through material gifts. People these days depend on material goods. The Guru therefore first attracts people to his circle with material gifts, and then leads them to the Dharma. When my precious Guru, my refuge and protector, was living in a hermitage, a servant of the Tibetan family, a man from Upper Kongpo, was sent to ask for a dice definition. He was carrying a hide full of water as an offering. The place where my Guru was staying was high up a mountain, which meant that the man was suffering from fatigue. He came into my Guru's presence saying, "This Lama must be like a wild animal to want to live on top of a mountain like this." My Guru gave him some tea, some food, and consecrated offerings to eat. The man developed faith in him and later had to admit, "But that Lama gives a great blessing." His offerings were delicious. He had been brought into the Guru's circle and he had developed faith. In monasteries, there is no limit to the numbers of teachers gathering students by, for example, taking care of them with material gifts. A teacher said, "Any good qualities I have are my Guru's." He meant that we obtain all our good qualities through the Guru's kindness. We do not examine or analyze things, and we arrogantly think that our present happiness, comfort, and reputation have come through our own efforts. But this is not so. Take the example of two brothers. One is put into monastery and becomes a member of the Sangha, an object which is other brothers take refuge. Then the ordinary brother meets the other by chance in a temple. They will act accordingly to their different laws. One dharmic, the other materialistic. You may be a monk and have few responsibilities. This is through the kindness of your abbot and ordination master who gave you your vows. For you were not like our teachers who became fully ordained naturally, without the interventions of an abbot. Now you can read many hundreds of pages a day and analyze their meaning. This is through the kindness of the person who taught you the alphabet. If you have not obtained any intention to prepare you, you are not even allowed to read books on Tantra. Someone with an initiation has entered the gateway to the sacred Tantras, something much rarer than even the comings of the Buddha. It is through his kindness that the Bhajan Master places into your mind stream seeds that are sure to ripen into results, the 4 kayas within 16 lifetimes, if your vows are still intact. You should count up your Guru's kindness on your rosary and think, "He gave me this, but this is not all. You have obtained a human body. You may be happy in this river. You may have wealth and so on. These are all the results of following ethics and of the practice of generosity in past lives. These were the kindness of the masters who made you practice them. Thus, any happiness you may have is due to the Guru's kindness. You may then think, it is not always the same Guru. Many different Gurus at different times have each contributed their own individual kindnesses. But these Gurus emanated from the same basis, the minds of all Buddhas, the non-dual prime wisdom which is of himself, the Dhammadhata. And the Gurus are all the Buddha Vajradhara himself manifesting in different guises. In Tibet, for example, there were the beings who were children of our race. There were people who established the law, translators of the Dharma, kings and their ministers who spread and upheld the teachings, master translators and pundits, the reincarnations of the Dalai Lamas, and so on. All these were only different guises for the Arya-Vala Vishara, the holders of the lotus. Our gurus are all similarly one entity. Geshe Ngawang says, one should understand the foregoing to the famous instructions and called Guru Yoga, where if one only meditates on its few times. This is in order to understand that the Guru is the embodiment of all Buddhas, that he is all the Buddha in another guise. You must not practice Guru Puja, and so on. But if you do not understand this and merely recite the words, you will get nowhere at all. So when you understand that the mind of all the Buddhas are taste with the essence of Dhammakaya, bliss and emptiness, and that they have risen from this as the Guru, you will understand that all Buddhas, the Buddha families and the 5 families, the 3 families and the 1 Buddha family are the Guru in different guises. If you don't understand this, you will be too careless about paying very respect to a famous Guru who teach from a high throne. You will also, for example, be in great danger of not respecting the monks in your humble monastery who tutors you in the books. When you have this understanding, training yourself to see one Guru as pure will train you to see them all in the same way. Then pleasing one will be turned to pleasing them all. And so, whether displeasing one is tantamount to displeasing all. And you should regard them all as equally kind and show no favoritism in your devotion. They say we should recite verses on the Guru's kindness when we complete. The following verses are spoken by Karma Mani Bhadra in the sessions on the kindness of spiritual guide from the laying out of Sutra. My spiritual guide, my exponents of Dharma, are qualified to teach me all the Dharma. They came with but one thought to fully teach me, the task facing the Bodhisattvas. Because they gave birth to me, they are like my mother. They are like nurses feeding me the milk of good qualities. They have thoroughly trained in the nurses to enlightenment. These spiritual guides keep me from the wind's charms. They are like doctors who free me from the death and old age, or like Indra, the celestial lord raining down nectar. They increase white Dharma like the waxing moon, and like the shining sun show the way to peace. They are like mountains unmoved by friends or foes. Their minds are undisturbed like oceans. They are clear ones who protect completely. These were the thoughts that made me go to them. The Sadhuvas will develop in my mind. Children of Buddhas who bring me enlightenment. They guide me, the Buddhas sing their praises. I came to them with these verses thoughts. Those who choose me from the war. They are my captains, my refuge and protection. They are my very eye, my comfort. With this from the essence of nectar lam-rim. I have given our family life that fits a fire, and to carry out in solitude the sage's deeds. I taste the fluid nectars of Dharma. This is the kindness of my venerable Gurus. I have met the teachings of Tsongkhapa, art to be defined in the 1,000 zeals of searching, and gained faith in the way he taught. This is the kindness of holy tutors. Therefore my spiritual guides are protectors shielding me from lower bands, captains to free me from samsara's ocean, guides to lead me to the higher river and liberation, doctors to cure me of chronic disease, to out the great fires of suffering, lamps to remove the darkness of ignorance, suns to light the path to liberation, liberators from the closed prison of samsara, clouds that gently rain the holy Dharma, dear friends who help me dispelling harm, kindly parents who are always loving. Contemplate these verses as you recite them, and remember the kindness of your Gurus. Devoting yourself through these will be discussed in the judiciary's own words at the end of the 4th preparatory rite. So you must not confuse it with the topics presented elsewhere. You should so topic with the petitions to visualize the descendants now of the purifying nectars and conclude by believing you have fulfilled that meditation topic.
Okay. You understand? You pass to read it. It's good enough. You read this once, then you get big merit. If you come watch time, you can do a little bit every day. One day finish. You did whole thing one life. You know. In meditation, 1 day, 1 verses. When it's 100 days, in meditation, 100 verses. You memorize 1 day, 1 verses. In 100 days, you memorize 100 verses. Just 1 day, 1 verses. Do like that, you know, you just recite a little bit every Sunday. 1 day you finish. And you know, good, merit. Also put very good influence on our mind. Yeah, today is that. And that gives me said the country, that not only to drama, Mambo Chenny. I ask you some young. And Sansi to the trade, to do what so young, Sansi to the trade, and another doesn't do that's not a race, loss and short and so.
And so anyway, this is again talking about how the Guru benefits us. So there's one way is benefiting us is through material gifts. So they use many different ways to subdue us, to tame us, and one way is by giving the material gifts.
I am sometimes
and sometimes by talking in a pleasant way to you, like there's 4 means of attracting the guru and attracting the disciples.
What is the third and the country? Oh, that better was near dark and the jungle country. And then Konagi get to see ya. I think that won't better long something to come here and much cheaper. The Kuni, that you know, like precious. And then get to there, the Kalekachi. And the Tarim over the Lama return of the Kawai and Asi, Kakani, and the Lama Saya. Left one by this one.
So, anyway, this is again there's a story about Pabongka Rinpoche, his one guru, right? Who was living up in the mountain doing his retreat or practice, and then one of the disciples or man from Kongpo, says Upper Kongpo, was sent to bring this butter for him, and while he was carrying the butter and climbing up the mountain, he was kind of cursing, saying that why he has to sit so high, sit up so high up in the mountain. When will I reach there? It's taking so long, and so forth, complaining about all these things.
In Tibetan, the many lamas also stand up in the high mountains. They retreat there. They have no car, they have no truck. Some maybe yaks are rich, we can put yaks there. Some places not also yaks cannot go. Because we small narrow road that people can carry. Then that time we say, oh, Luas, the lama, Luas. And why animal? What is that?
So anyway, eventually he reached the top of the mountain where the Lama was doing his retreat and met him.
And then Lama got that and then Lama got teaching on some sort of and it did Solat and the journey. That Koya, Kalasaw go as well. And then Kalasaw go, the Lama Shanukuna, you don't need that code.
So then when he came in the presence of Pabongka's guru, then the guru said, oh, you must have been very tired, sit down, relax, and had this food. So he gave him some food, and that was also blessed food from making offerings of the Guru Puja. And so he he gave them those offerings also, blessed offerings also. And then the man who was very tired and hungry was also in front of eating and loved it very much, so he developed faith in the Guru.
And the Kalaya Shimadus, that Soya Shimadus, and then you shot it.
So he said the food was very delicious, and then the blessed food, the offerings were also very delicious. It was worth coming up here. Says. So by thinking that or saying that, he developed faith in the Guru.
딱 거기 상승 거기 들어가서 가지 딱 가라로 어째요? 되는지야 배도체네. 딱 센스 출래야 뭐야 그다지 남거로.
And so by giving like food and some kind of material gifts, and then the hook the disciple into practicing dharma.
What food is most delicious food? What do you think? Ja?
No, I was kidding. Chocolate.
Chocolate. What do you think?
It's depending on the person.
Yeah, this is true. Different person. 딱 맞아. 소소 가래 심좀 가래에서.
So what would be the most delicious food for each person? For individuals?
Thai food.
What would be the knowledge of the Dharma?
We don't have that.
We're talking about real food, not the symbolic food.
Food. Like I said, it's depending on each individual because what I like might not be something that you like, so it varies. I don't like sugar, some people like sugar, so.
So the most delicious food, what I was thinking of saying was that most delicious food is the food when you are very, very hungry.
Yes.
This also I have a lot of experience. When I was monastery, bread, they build monastery bread, that kind of bread, we go to puja, we get every month this piece. Then we eat half, we bring half in the home. We have just one cup. Then we put the keys, our teachers, now they come down, put the
So we tie it with the bread, you make a hole and tie it with a string, and hang it, on the windows. Let it dry.
Then we have all day, we get up morning maybe 5:35. We have to maybe sit up maybe 11:30, 12 o'clock. We have to all day study. Then anyway, the main monastery gives black tea, only black tea. At 5 o'clock, then we go to pick up the what we call it, thermos. We put thermos. Then we keep, teachers keep that until we come back, all the study coming. Maybe we finish the study maybe 11:30, 10 o'clock. Then we come back together. Then we sit in the teacher's room. Then we have black tea and very piece bread. Very delicious. Very, very delicious. Because we are very hungry. At that time, Tibetans have momos best food. Of course, very delicious, but, very, very delicious that time. Now, last year I come back, I go back. I try to eat this, not the taste. Because we have many choices, many foods, We eat different kind of foods. Even you can go to maybe someone like to Thai food. Every day go there. Then you don't like much. Because you have no choice, right? And the food is color combo
So if it is scarce, if it is the time when you're very hungry, that's that time, any kind of food will be the most delicious.
근데 다 단단히 마르킨동에 다 값을 더 말아 코라 보고 또 되게 값이야 막 라면이 샤라 딱 비밀값 돌아보니까 나다 지체 뭐고 인성내 가지고 올라가는 때가 좋은 거です.
And so, same like in this story here, the person who was carrying butter, to the Lama, was very tired, very hungry, and so because at that time the Lama gave him the food, and then the blessed food offerings were all very, very delicious for him, and so by eating that, then he developed faith in the Guru. Yeah, so you have to have all these many different causes and conditions together.
대마다 다 자사게 genji and 소주 좀 왔다고 다 산도 되었다 쳔매가 레스로.
And then it says in the monastery there is no limit to the numbers of teachers gathering students by, for example, taking care of them with material gifts.
근데 그게도 저거 같이 내가 파와 안에 보정도 대단히 이제 내가 그래서 좀 그랬어.
So just like parents take care of their children here, the teachers take care of their disciples in the monastery.
When Sarah was first start, they're very poor. And their little kids come to mom, then they have to go to some hospital or they maybe the India village camp. They have no car. They're killing kids here. They're gonna kill him. And they just like killing him. And then mom goes, "Ma, guess what? I'm going to hospital. I'm going to do the mom. I'm going to do."
So
So
the teachers, the older teachers, they carry the younger monks, who come to the monastery at a very young age, like 5, 6, 10, and so forth. When they're sick, they carry them on their back, and then carry some, hold in their hands, and some carry on their back, and take them to the doctors and so forth. So just like parents do with their children.
어디든 제대로다 네 마음밭이 심지어 배 통이시. 그 앞으로 용어를 쌈네 제대로 맞은 네 마음만 갈 팬도 쌈다 그것도 용 말해.
And so when the teachers do that, they do with the motivation, thinking that, oh, this person, when he studies and completes his study and practices, and then he will be very beneficial to sentient beings. It will be very beneficial for the teachings of Buddha. It will be very beneficial for many sentient beings. Therefore, I'm going to take care of this person. I'm going to teach him and so forth. So that's with that kind of motivation. Not with the motivation thinking that, oh, this person, when this person grows up, and he will take care of me. Not that kind of motivation.
That's why I have kids.
네, 그렇습니다. 어떨까지 딱까지 딱 정상적으로 볼까지 딱까지 좀 해서 저도 좀 하다까지 아직 심지어 배도 좀 해서 딱 그렇게 왔어.
And so they go through many difficulties, to take care of the disciples, thinking that this will, be beneficial for sentient beings in the future.
아니 조지에다 나라 이제 강하게 바탕쳤다 나 얘기하려면까지 이해해서 소마이 말해서.
So just like here it says, Lama Atisha said, whatever knowledge I have now is all through the kindness of my gurus.
지금 이사를 주도 걔네도 살아.
Is that true? Do you think that's true?
근데 지나서 단다 로종에 왔어. 지나서 단 말이지. 소 지나서 단 남자 얘기를 까내려 주도 걔네도.
So you have all these different kind of knowledges now, right? About physics, science, mathematics, and whatever knowledge you have. It's all by the kindness of your teacher in colleges and high schools, right? Is it or no? You don't think like that?
여기 하하. Right?
Part because we also have to study.
Yeah.
And the teacher shows us, and then we have to work too.
That's correct. 근데 내가 집안에 했어. 얘를 가는 마다는 수술 기초 맞는 것도 배도 말았어. 그래서 그 수술 기초 요하게 탑시다. 그래. 여러분이나 그 탑시전에 라베티 딱 얘기를 하고 왔어.
So yeah, that's true. Of course, no matter how much the teacher teach, if you don't do anything from your side, you will not learn, right? You have to study also. But whatever you learn, whatever you study, has to be taught by the teacher. So the teacher is very important in that sense, right?
Yeah. Okay, you have
How about a person's own perceptions and intuitions? About experience.
소소한 게 즉 쉐어라. 그래서 소소한 게 냠냠 소소한 게 그래서 그 삼투전에 즉 쉐어라. 그래서 그랬어. 그래서 얘기를 말했어.
어쨌든 가서 지금 삼로 땅 시야 되냐면 제시와를 당부 부식을 합시기로 왔어.
So even if we do something, on our own, through our own intuition, but still there has to be somebody who has taught us before, and somebody taught us before, and because of that, then later we're able to do it by ourselves. Again, when you trace back, it's because of that person or that teacher who taught us this. So right now you all know how to cook, right? Nobody taught you right now how to cook. But somebody did long time ago. because of that you're now able to cook, right?
Damchoe 나도 신바산에 kup시게도 밀라셔요 왔어. 너무 신경 주지도 않아.
So even even like speaking honestly, even like how to pee and how to poop is all taught by others, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know how to do that properly on our own when we were like kid, right? Infant.
아니 바와면 람. 아니 신바산에 아니 kumba시원 가는 것도 라셔요 왔어. 또 주지로 그러.
So yeah, our parents taught us, right? So how to pee and how to poop and how to clean afterwards and all these things were taught by our parents, right?
대단 나도 그냥 신바대하고 가를 남는 것도 다 장토에 신경을 해야 돼. 남이 가지고 그래.
So the good thing is that we have this, the intellect or the wisdom that is able to learn whatever we're taught. But we still need somebody to teach.
양부 가지고 쌈로 담나 땅이지 쌈로나 계시신도 왔어. 전부 그 땅에 그거 가르쳐. 그 마음고치는 카페에 아니 소소 되는 게 받쳐 왔어.
So some people, they are able to speak very well, all from their own side, they think, but then they look around, right? They listen to the news, they listen to people talk, and then they know, okay, this is how I should say, But they're learning from all these people, and then they're able to say exactly, how it will please others.
어디에다 가지? 야, 어디에다?
Once again, how about our very own personal intuitions and perceptions from experience that we have learned in our lives through different archetypes, our own archetypes.
소소히 냠냠찬이다. 장하지라다. 소소 냠냠 산에 즉 시야지라. 근데 소때는 신기가 말았어.
다 냠냠 영화 되면아. 그 지금 라면 대라 소소다. 그 냠냠자가 로제하고 제대로 냠냠자가 쳐서 말았어.
So even the experience you have, whatever things that you learn or you come to understand through your own experience. So even the experience, to have that experience you are taught, before somebody taught you, then you have that experience, and now then from that experience you are able to learn things on your own.
From archetypes?
What do you mean by archetypes?
Carl Jung's study of archetypes. You don't know archetypes?
No, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, I don't know, it's a little complicated to explain. It's not it's a very much a Western concept. I don't know how to explain it in terms. It would be universal concepts.
I don't know if you could make the comparison to the way that Buddhas or other holy beings, bodhisattvas, manifest to us. Meditation. I'm not sure it's exactly the same, but it might be. It's close.
The bodhisattva would be an example of an archetype.
Bodhisattva?
Yes.
So from your own archetype, what does that mean?
Probably like Tara has different, like 21 manifestations. Maybe that would be like a type of archetype. Each one of those, each manifestation might be a type of archetype.
So these might
Maybe something like that.
manifesting to
Manifestation?
individual lives.
And the mother archetype, the father archetype, the
Also manifestation.
yes,
Close.
Uh-huh.
Close,
living
not exactly.
manifestation that can be seen as a metaphor.
Oh, okay.
More conceptual though, not
So
physical.
can you say that what archetype, your own archetypes? Learning through your own archetype?
Not just one, but many,
Your own.
many archetypes.
Your own, the ones
But they're
that are
universal,
yours.
so
Yes.
they're very much the same way of like Tara or
Mhm. So it's
Kurukulla
basically
Center.
same, but what do you mean by, can you say the full sentence again about archetype or manifestation?
They can be viewed as living, breathing phenomena.
No, I understand that, but your question, in relation to that, what was your question?
Well, essentially, what about your archetypes teaching you, the archetypes that are inside you?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be the mother archetype,
Oh, okay.
or the father, or the murderer, or
So-
whatever.
Are you saying, are they your teachers or?
Yes.
That's what you're asking?
Yes.
Are there that's also concerned to boss us. To boss it. And so that's thank you to boss the thank you to boss Damchoe. And the minute that is the domain to what I'm with that to that number has a very mistake that then I said so to the Pabongka to I'm to Pabongka to was the neighbors. And the Soviet in it, the Soviet on the US Geshe.
저번에 계획 말했어. 거기한테 네가 영화됐다 그러면 뭐 보겠는데 뭐 보자. 소소로 좀 좋다. 저거 계획 말어.
So
그래서 중에다가 뒤쪽에 네가 영화돼 소소 딱 계획
So,
말어.
yeah, again, when you say archetype of your mother, archetype of your father, is that your father? Archetype of your father is your father, or it's a different being, or what is
It's a
it?
different being. It's your perception.
Or when we talk about the manifestation, you have to have the power to manifest in different forms.
Yes.
Like Tara can, Tara who is fully enlightened being can manifest in different forms.
Yes.
And it can manifest in like white form, red form, and so forth. And so you have to have that power, to do that. And that we say it's like a Buddha. It's like a Tara. It's a Tara. It's a manifestation as a Tara. So it's Tara. But in the case of the archetype of your father, what do you mean by that?
It doesn't mean your literal father. It means your own perception of what a father is. The father inside you, the mother inside you, the murderer inside you, the animal inside
that
you.
concept, right? The thought.
It's conceptual, yes.
Cause and effect still. It's still based on
Right.
teachers.
That's what you guys understand? You can answer if you understand that.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different view of what Carl Jung meant when he said archetype, but it's better to answer her question as it is.
What?
I had understood archetypes to be slightly different than that, but I don't think it matters my
Well, then
understanding.
say what you think they are.
I think it has to do more with the universal thing where the collective unconscious, where we all
Yes.
come together and sort of do
스스로
that.
건설 스스로랑
Yes.
얘기하는 게
Consciousness
상관이
is
있어요.
developed together.
스스로
There's
상관.
universal
답변아
things that
스스로만
Yeah.
도전 지고 상관 미쳐라.
Okay, so
일단 미치고 건설이다.
good.
다들 네 미치고서 나타 뭐 미치고서 콜롬비아 스르다. 아들 대나스테 바 나타 그냥 파마나지 소소히 대치 파마 세져라.
그런 거.
네. 대가라서 대소서 개개인적으로 찍어서 마셔.
되게 이렇게 말하는 그런 거. 대체로 상관. 근데 사람들 막 라면이라고.
답변은 소소 난기서
소소
저거 야고
같이 소소 계획이 와서
난 얘기를 만들어야 돼.
나는 계획해서 소소까지 야보 제대로 끊어 정도 왔을 때 나는 계획. 두자 제대로 끊어도 야 두자 계획이라고 그냥 나는 몰라. 또 나는 왜 시계가 된 나는 미니어로.
So you can say that the archetype, the father inside you or mother inside you or the mother inside you. These are all just thoughts, right? They are just thoughts, right? Thought. The murderer inside you, it's just a thought, right? It's the thought thinking, I must kill somebody. That's the murderer inside you. What do you mean by murder inside you?
There are many, many different types of archetypes, thousands of different types of archetypes.
No, but you said like the murderer inside you, or like father inside you.
Or the Aphrodite, or the Hermes, or the Zeus, or whatever god or goddess
Oh, I
from
see, okay.
Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Mayan mythology, Eskimo mythology.
건조 양지 하단 하마이.
들어가고 되고 다시 하고.
That we're not familiar with that, so I don't know about that one. But yeah, if you're talking about that thought, I must do something
Want
good.
the Google definition?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Archetype right there. And it's Jungian archetype.
How does this relate to what Geshe was saying?
It says it's a universally understood symbol, term, or pattern of behavior, prototype upon which others are copied, patterned, or emulated. Used in a myth and storytelling across different cultures. Okay, thank you very much.
Good. Everybody can watch something they can find.
So, anyway, when we're talking about behaviors, then there's good things and bad things. So something that we have good, which tell us to do good, is good. And so that we can say is a good teacher. That's, we have the inner teacher and the outer teacher. That's what Geshe was saying earlier about inner teacher and outer teacher. So inner teacher is the good thoughts that we have inside, which makes us to do good things. And bad thoughts are inside, are the bad teachers, which makes us to do bad things. So that's what. But I don't know if other things that maybe you are expecting. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so so Lama Atisha was saying that gurus are very important. Most of all the knowledge that we have now is all through the kindness of the gurus. And so, like in the case of the monks, the most important thing for the monk is to keep his or her vows, right? Vows is a very important thing. And so the morality, they say, is the inner teacher. And so that's the thought. The morality is the thought inside. A thought. Thinking. Thought. So thought, inside your mind, thinking that I should not do this, I should do this. This is wrong, I should not do this. This is right, I should do this. That thought is the morality. So that thought.
Are you talking about free will?
Sorry?
Are you talking about free will?
Not about free will. Morality, morality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it means doing the right thing and not doing the wrong things. Yeah, so that's morality. That's what I mean. So I don't know if you understand that as a free will.
It's okay.
You believe in free will?
So it depends on things. It depends on things like, there are some things that you can do, you can choose to do. You can choose to do or you can choose not to do. In that case, you can say you have free will for that. But there are some things you can't do. You don't have a choice. Like you don't want to die, but you have to die. You don't want to grow old, but you have to grow old. There's no free will for that. You can't choose not to die. You can't choose not to grow old. So those you have to. There's no free will for that. So in some karmic cases, there's no free will. But like in the case of you want to practice dharma or not, you have free will. You have a choice. Like that.
Okay,
So again, when we don't analyze or check, then we might think that, it's all by my own doing, that I have this, I have that. But actually that's not true. So then again he gives the example of two brothers. One is put in the monastery, becomes a monk or a nun, and then becomes the object of refuge for the other brothers. So the reason why he became an object of refuge for other brother is by the kindness of his guru. His guru gave him the vows, make him become a monk, and now he becomes the object of the sangha, the member of sangha, and an object of refuge for other brother. So during the time of the Buddha, people have so much merit, and their merit has matured that so much that even by calling, say, come here, they are liberated just by calling them, come here, they achieve liberation. Like come to the side, to the liberation where the Buddha is. So just by calling them, come here, they achieve liberation.
근데 간제 소소 딱 가르치고 싶지게로 소소 딱 대단한 거 까갈로 받아 미지 왕 맞어 저 맞나 딱 다른 거 까갈로 쉬어도 딱 그게 가르쳐서 미지 왕 맞나 아니 딱 세치리 아니 제가 줄여서 사제네 딱 그래 딱 맞아서 가지 그게 왕 맞는 거 더고 말해서.
And then also the books that we are able to read, the texts that we are able to read and understand the meaning is all through the kindness of Guru who taught you the alphabet, right? Because you taught the alphabet, you learn alphabet, now you are able to read all these scriptures or textbooks and so forth. It's by the kindness of the Guru who taught you the alphabet. And then also he said here about a person, about a Guru who gave you the initiation to practice Tantra. Through practicing which you can achieve enlightenment like in a very short time, as short as in 16 lifetimes, you can achieve enlightenment. So that instruction, that empowerment, to do the practice, through which you can achieve enlightenment so quickly, is given by the Guru. So it's through the kindness of the Guru that we receive that instruction, through which we can achieve enlightenment so quickly.
So 마보리 땅도 지나베 로종 냠냐 마보 재생들 맨날 좋다 로일 딱 그래 쇼토고 말이더라.
So of course, again for this you have to understand, or you will understand only if you have studied Dharma for quite some time, and then you will understand what it means by this here.
대마세 안에 다 들리나 라마까지도 수송하는 자동원에 뜨니. 어디까지 탱고를 가지고 공부를 해서
so you should always remember the kindness of the Guru, and then by thinking about his kindness, you should count his kindness. It says on the beads of the mala, you should count his kindnesses. It says he has been kind in this way, in this way, in this way, and so forth. So we might think that this teacher didn't give me, the food didn't give me, didn't give me a job. And so the reason why he's kind here is because he gave us this instruction, the teaching, which teaches what is to be abandoned and what is to be cultivated. And also, even achieving this profit and rebirth or becoming wealthy in this life is all through the kindness of the Guru.
대다 정화대 투조 마소나 밀리토고 말해서 지마동면은 아니 좋아치면 말해서 당초 넘어다 개개지가 좀 송고리지 마동고지 대처하는 적은 거래서.
So that's because if you haven't practiced the morality, then you will not achieve the higher rebirth as human being, and if you haven't practiced generosity, then you will not become wealthy. And because the Guru taught you how to practice generosity, how to practice morality, therefore, we are able to be born as human beings and become wealthy and so forth.
Just one more.
Okay.
Outside of doctrine, ritual, and morality, how many paths to freedom are there? 1,000?
How many paths?
Paths to freedom are there? Several, a few, or just one?
Outside of doctrine, morality.
Outside of morality, doctrine, and ritual.
최기 치러라. 최기 나와. 최기 치러라. 수준비 치러라. and 가서 doctrine, morality, and what else? Ritual. And then 저가 잘해. 맞아요. 선언 맞아요. 다 뒤치러라. and 상계에게 남 가져야겠어. 지교에게 니에게 동료를 가져야겠어. 나베지는 나도 최초였어.
나베지나다 아니 주저를 하고 그랬어. 나다 나도 되게 잘했다는 랍통만. 나바 코로 나도 걔네한테 걔네들이었어.
So you can't speak for others. We can't speak for others, but according to Buddhism, there is none.
There's no freedom or
There's no path for freedom. It has to be within doctrine, not outside of doctrine. According to Buddhism, the others, we don't know, but according to Buddhism, that's none. So that's our understanding, that's our belief. But we can't speak for others. We can't say, oh, yeah, it's like that for everybody. If you're not Buddhist, you don't believe in that, then you can't talk about it. But according to Buddhism, that's what it is. Yeah, and so anyway, so all these achievements that we have, the profit, the wealth, and so forth, is through the practice of morality, generosity, and so forth, and that practice was taught by the teachers. So according to Buddhism, some people who become very rich, without been working very hard, but some people don't become rich at all, no matter how hard they work, is because of having or not having practiced generosity in their past life. So those who have practiced generosity, even if they don't work so hard, they become successful, become rich. And those who have not practiced generosity before, no matter how hard they work, they cannot become rich. So that's what's believed in Buddhism. And guru can be many, it doesn't have to be just one. There can be many gurus just as there are many teachers. So all these different, the great, great masters, the great king, the ministers, translators, and so forth. And in Tibet, they will say they are all manifestation, of Buddha, of compassion, of Avalokiteshvara. And then also Rinpoche says that one should understand the foregoings to the famous instruction called Guru Yoga, but when you go nowhere if one meditates on it a few times only. So it says this is in order to understand that the Guru is the embodiment of all the Buddhas, that he is all the Buddha in another guise. You must practice puja and so on. But if you do not understand this and merely recite the words, you will get nowhere at all. So if you don't understand this and just recite the word, you will not get anywhere. And so also, you hear of all these Buddhas in different, 100 Buddha family, 5 families, 3 families, and 1 family, and so forth. All these are, a guru who's coming in different manifestation to subdue sentient beings. And so that the guru who's sitting on a higher throne and giving teaching to a big number of people, you respect them more. And the guru who is sitting on the same seat equal to oneself, and don't respect them too much. That's mistake. And so it says, then pleasing one will be tantamount to pleasing them all, and so too with displeasing them, displeasing one is tantamount to displeasing them all. And then also there's these few verses from the laying out of stocks and sutra.
다 계시 주마한테 추게 얘네 되졌다. 그렇게 되는데 얘네 다 얘네가 같이 되게 다 추가가 생이 다 좋은데도 마찬가지로 공부해서
And so the first verse is my spiritual guides, my exponents of the Dharma, are qualified to teach me all the Dharmas. They came with but one thought to fully teach me the task facing the Bodhisattva.
아니 소소 계획 아마다 버들레스. 아니 오마짱이 아마다 치바레스. 아니 다 그래. 내와도 간가. 다 그래 다 숭행 개개 신인들에서.
And so this teacher is like the mother who gave birth to me, and it's like a milk of good qualities. The teaching that he gave me, it's like that. And then it says through a thorough training in the branches of enlightenment, these spiritual guides keep me from that which harms.
아니 that 가로 다맨 내발 메테가 개개다고. 아니 도서 때문에 다 도서 참에 자원 방에 딱 중요해 그지. 그리고 다 이제 라용 야신다고. 근데 니마다 나와는 소리가 막 세워 신경이 다 니마다고 집발해서.
And says they are like doctors who free me from the death and old age, or like Indra, the celestial lord, raining down nectars. They increase white dharma like the waxing moon, and like the sun, shining sun, show the way to peace.
근데 자다 토르는 로테가 잠소다 무추가 가지나 센 템포네 가능하더라. 맞지. 그래서 가슴이 가듯이 생투샤나 무추가 있나로.
And says they are like mountain unmoved by friends or foe. Their minds are undisturbed like oceans.
근데 다다 아니 소리가 상식으로 선 냠내 강하게와 강가다 공격하는 제세.
So it's whatever practices of the bodhicitta and so forth that we have in our mind, stream is through the kindness of the Guru.
근데 지대 쪽으로 공부하고 근데 대단 가래 대분 뭐다 잡서죠. 답답 잡죠. 지대는 지대는 나도 공부 자쇼. 아니 개초를 받는다 잡 자쇼 단데다 내려요 말해.
And they are like heroes, they for the shield me from the world, and they are my captains, my refuge and protection. So there's no better protection than the Guru to protect me from all the harms.
근데 가는 네가 개 가지고 가는 간지 지난 게 대파 마사 제가 동안 거래스 개원 대화는 제가 대화사 볼 등등은 야 몰라고 와도 그렇지 버리더라고 그래서.
And so the reason why the Guru is like the refuge and the source of all the happiness is for us and freedom from all the suffering is because Guru teaches us what is good, what is bad, and encourages us to practice the good, which are the causes of happiness, and encourages us to abandon the non-virtuous actions, which are the cause of suffering.
나도 개개 망보에 방막까지 뭐 망보에 되는 다 추송이 개개도 마토 연수치가 아니 저게 와서는 제가 그래 대화도나 제 저게 와서 그래 아니 누가 뭐든다 티제 누가 그래 누가 빵고 생각하는 게 소만이 와서.
So we have all these different kind of teachers and parents who has taught us so much and has been very kind to us, but there's no kinder than the Dharma teacher. So the Dharma teacher is the only teacher who teaches us what is positive action, what is negative action, why we should not engage in the negative actions, and why we should engage in positive actions all the time and so forth.
다 나라 대선님만 돼서 또 매도 잡이 다 가지 매도 따위 아니 처음에 랍도쇼 근데 웬마대 냠내지 박스 그래 근데 담배 주고 또 서로 있는 거다 지도하면 가지 제에서 시로 갔다
And again, and then in this essence of the nectar lam-rim, this is mainly advice for the monks. This is, I have given our family life that bit of fire, and they carry out in solitude the sage's deeds, and I taste the succulent nectar of the Dharma. This is the kindness of my venerable gurus.
근데 매도바이 청소해도 가시다 너도 지금 당 고에 나라 가시다 동아 요리에 들어와 근데 강에 요리에서 담으려고 짜자해서 매도다 그래서 매는 너는 술이 끼고요 말로 사바이나.
So the pits of fire, again, it could be the example of the samsara, a cycle existence. So it's like the pits of fire. So if you fall in the pit of fire, then it will burn you. You suffer a lot. So just like that, if you fall into cycle existence, and there's only suffering. Everything that we experience will be in the nature of suffering.
아니 까와 몽보는 뜻은 이해 까와 한 정도는 때마다 잡아 딱 미리 때도 아직 때마다 잡아 그래봐 아니 때마다 이체니에 봐 하는데 이제 가만히 온도 때마다 같이 돼서
And then it says, having met with the teachings of the Lama Tsongkhapa, how to find in 1,000 years of searching and gain faith in the way he taught. This is kindness of holy gurus. So because of the guru, that we're able to meet with the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa and so forth.
아는 내 되게 돼 아니 다그 아니 신이 담한다 년소리 쪼비기 딱 난소리 바타와 신인데 내래 거기 장소리 들어와 신인데 내래 둘이 타와도 타위 공부해야 내게도 내래서.
And it is therefore my spiritual guide, guru, is are the protectors shielding me from the lower realms. So who protect me from the lower realms, captain who free me from the samsara's ocean, cyclic existence, and guide to lead me to the high rebirth and liberation.
아니 놈목은 나다도 봐 자와신 멤버 다와대야 그래서 등가 침보 매매라도 비 생행은 추대고 그래서 근데 남다 여분 문통이 미시와 무료가서 좀에 다 마음에 대야 그래서 아니 타위 살아야 롱이다 니마대야 거래서.
It says it's like the guru is like the doctor to cure me from the chronic disease of the delusions, river or water to douse the great fire of suffering, lamps to remove the darkness of ignorance, and suns to light the path to liberation.
나와다 코비 쪼라래 파 타바치기다 조바치기 되시라. 근데 담주 잡아뱅이다. 잡아먹다 담주 주먹뱅이라. 아니 내세 편바주기 신이. 아 차트. 땡데스 아니 내세 편바주기 신이. 아니 따다 셈이 좀 파마. 어디다 되게 되는데 따다 같이 모르겠어.
So this is liberator from the closed prison of samsara, cyclic existence. Clouds that gentler wind the holy dharma, and the dear friends who help me dispelling harms, and kindly parents who are always loving. So that's the guru. Therefore, guru is always very kind to us.
그래서 다들 신이 돼서 그래나 그 그러니까 신이 돼서 그걸 로는 뭐 치면은 대로 나도 나오는 거를 고래도 말해줘.
So it is important to understand about the guru's kindness. So when we understand that, then this will make sense to us. So otherwise, otherwise this will not make sense to us.
Yeah, just one last question.
Okay.
If you can indulge another question, it's kind of off the track. Monsieur Geshe and Mr. Damchoe, are you aware of the existence of the Navajo Nation in southwestern United States and a similarity to Tibetan sand paintings that they do?
Navajo is 열애사 거기 높초라 아리 높초라 되는데 열애사 그래서 되는 배경 없이 미스점 되는 열애사 그래서 그걸 시기로서.
No? You should look it up. Navajo.
하고 왔죠. 하고 그랬어. 그래서 열애사 따라왔어. 대로.
대체는 약초에 사고가 약초에서 나도 시절 타면 나도 시도해 말이야.
Yes, Geshe said he understand that he should understand, he should know it. He agree with you, but there are infinite things in existence, and therefore there's no way to know everything.
Very special. Navajo. That's how you spell it.
Navajo.
근데 다사대하고 그래 다 대단하고 그러었어.
Geshe said not just the spelling, he has to understand the meaning also.
나도 감각 장을 먹고 이랬어. 감각을 먹고 이래서. 근데 나도 장 도에 말했어.
Yeah, there are many things we should all learn, we should all understand, but we're very limited, to our knowledge. So that it's not possible for us to know everything.
Especially their rituals and gurus, holy men.
저가 잘한다. 대소는 배 자우시오 저래서.
I will look to that.
You too.
I will
Look into it. Look it up.
Investigate.
나한테 정해서
Google learn.
I will learn. I will learn. I will learn, okay? Thank you. It's good. It's also one new knowledge. Something I never heard before. Okay, do you have homework? Yes, yes. Okay, read.
I'll read them when I get the mic. All right. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, question number 1.
Okay.
What is the meaning of having one's mind stream blessed?
Okay. Yeah. Good. Keep the noise. It's okay. Maybe you just try it. Now let's do it.
Speak loud, yeah.
Yeah, speak loud. Here, what's it? Big loud. Big mouth. What's it? Sorry. Big voice. Okay. Yeah.
When negative thoughts and delusions are turned to positive thoughts.
Semba nyumonga da nyumonga migyo chogi semba migyo da lo de ta give it lo da yeah you mind the lo de jo and to the chin levels.
Well, that's little, or do you have any other questions, other answers?
Any other answers?
Having spiritual realizations that are the result of the Guru's blessing.
And any other? It's good, yeah, this is good, they both good. Kulana, I think that Magavachin is somebody, Gavachin is somebody, Pajabas. Tobajas, Tobajas.
Yeah, those are all blessing, right? Your mind is being blessed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
아니, 같이 나도 존졸라 산이 사지만은 나한테 로고선도 끊어지도 왔어. 아니, 다 로고 매선 끊어도, 로고 매선 끊어도 다 정신이란 거 그랬어. 로고 예선 끊어도 같이 다 산지 주신이란 거. 신학자들이 무슨 얘기를
So, for example, there's a teaching this Sunday, and you think, oh, I'm going to go to this teaching. And then there's the other thought says, oh, I don't want to go to teaching. Instead, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go to the beach. So there are these two thoughts. And so when you have this thought, saying, oh, I must go to the teaching because this and that, so because of that reason. And therefore you go to the teaching, so that's your mind being blessed, your mind state is being blessed. But if you think of, oh no, I can go and listen to teaching other time, but we'll go to the beach today, and then you go to the beach, and then your mind is blessed by the maras or demons. So going to the beach is beach, not beach. It's an obstacle, right? Obstacle to practicing Dharma. So anyway, if you develop any good thought, especially in any good thought, like want to engage in Dharma practice, then that is your mind being blessed.
Okay. There are a lot of things. This is just one
example.
Okay. Then second.
Okay.
What is?
All right, question 2. What are the 4 noble truths?
We talk a lot, right? Okay. All good. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I can try.
Yeah, this is a good try. Yeah, it's good. Yes.
Life involves suffering. Life involves suffering. Suffering is from change, and there's a way to end suffering, and the way to end suffering is by the Eightfold Path.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We'll
Needs a little work.
Makes sense.
Yeah, different way of saying it, but same thing.
Meaning the same. Okay. Then who want to say more?
They're saying in your one word. That's good.
That's suffering, then the suffering of suffering, and then... It's alright. I believe
Okay, it's good.
There's suffering, then there's suffering from suffering. Then I forgot. What's the cause of
Yeah,
suffering?
could tell a little bit loud. Oh, we will do that.
Suffering, not
No,
real.
that's
Suffering.
suffering exists.
Suffering exists, there's a cause of suffering,
Just the
and there's an ending to suffering, and the ending is a path, but there's a path to the ending of suffering.
Yeah, you both said it, right? I think it's but good anyway. And then do what they bus. And then teach you can do the bus. And then that there's a topa. And then go there, teach them on this as well.
Yeah, so whatever both of you said is similar to what we normally say, like true suffering, true origin, true cessation, and true path. The true suffering, is the result, the suffering, and then the true origin is the cause of the suffering, and then true cessation is the end of the suffering, and the true path is the means to end the suffering.
Okay?
So, but when you are asked what are the Four Noble Truths, it's the true suffering, true origin, true cessation, and true path. Just like that.
Okay?
So it's the true origin.
True suffering, true origin, true cessation, and true path. So that's the basis of all the teachings of the Buddha.
Last Sunday I talked this lot. Therefore we didn't go there to do. We just talked. Okay? Then third question.
Okay, question 3. Please give an example of true suffering.
Okay. Yep.
So someone?
True suffering.
True suffering.
Who would like to say? Maybe Eric?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just say when it's really hot and we turn the AC on, then at the end of the class we get really cold. That's the suffering and change, so that could be an example of,
True suffering.
or the fact that we even have contaminated aggregates to begin with.
호랑이에서 먼저 배에 차와서 내려왔을 때 이 시간에 정말 뒤때는 동화를 했어. 동화를 말했어. 아니 아무나 때문에 호랑이는 따라서 사제기 공부들이 동화를 배신.
So when you said true suffering, where you, in the book it's there's a suffering of suffering, did you mean that? Or
No, just true suffering.
Oh, true suffering.
Yeah.
I think what Ian said.
So well, Ian's first example was like the true suffering, or the suffering of change. And then the second example he gave is like the contaminated aggregate.
Yes.
And that's what you normally say the true suffering is.
Yes.
Example of true suffering.
So the suffering of change isn't true. The true suffering is the third one.
It's the suffering that pervades all conditioned existence.
All three?
Yeah.
So all are suffering, all are true suffering. No, we're talking about the suffering. Suffering is true suffering. But true suffering is not necessarily suffering. So this is a different way of saying, like, anything that's contaminated aggregate is not a suffering. It's a true suffering. It's not suffering. Contaminated aggregate is not true suffering. I mean, not suffering, but it's a true suffering.
It's not suffering, it's in the nature.
In the nature of suffering, yeah. So in the nature of suffering, but not suffering. That's a different way of saying that. So this one is also in the nature of suffering. The table is in the nature of suffering, but not true suffering, not a suffering. 동화 말했어. 근데 나도 레년이 오기 전에 처음으로 동화 말했어. So that's I don't know. It will be exact. It will be right. Right translation to say in the nature of suffering. But anyway, so you just say that name and then you explain in different ways. The suffering, of course, we all know it has to be a feeling, right? This is not a feeling, so it can't be suffering. But when it's the nature of suffering, it has a nature of suffering, or it is within the nature of suffering. Means like anything that is produced by karmic and by karma and delusion. So that's like a contaminated aggregate, and it's produced by karma and delusion. Therefore, it is in the nature of suffering. So in the same way, this table is produced by the common delusion, therefore it is in the nature of suffering. And so anyway, the example that Geshe was looking for was the contaminated etiquette. So that with suffering, true suffering. And if you say suffering or suffering, of course that's true suffering, true, but that will not fall into the the nature of suffering. Because this is also the nature of suffering.
You could say samsara.
Samsara.
In general.
Correct.
Tree suffering.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Okay, good job, yeah. Yeah, one question.
I have a few. I want to make it very quick.
Just give me one. Each one important.
It's a two-part, it's not two questions. It says that we shouldn't have favoritism towards the guru, but Lama Atisha always praised Lama Solenpa higher than his. He always had more reverence towards him. So it seems a little.
네, 라마 뒤에 약보다 뒤도 잘했어요. 그래서 뒤 야가 뒤에 야가 되는 지하에 뭐 저도 되나 다다 되나. 라마 뭔가 라마 상관들은 나 상대 타고 상대 두고 했어요. 라마 상고를 안치라든 되게 담가져요. 그래서 지금 뒤에 약보다 다 뒤에 약보시라 말했어요. 근데 지금 뭐 세나는 조지 가지는 되는 라마 셀링 발로 가지는 되는 지 돌아가는 거 같아요.
저희 남아 자 죽는다고 직생도 제소리였어. 강가에 버렸나 대단히 아주 소소를 지금 의세가 도박이라 진열하다 계속 쳐야 돼요.
So again, independence on what he has taught, particularly, and then you can favor him on that subject. You can praise more about his. It's not like favoring, but more like praising him about that. So bodhicitta that I have, Lama is because of Lama Salimpa, and so he praised Lama Salimpa on the topic on bodhicitta. But then there are other gurus, who taught him other things, and say will not say Salimpa, for that. So for other subjects, you will have different gurus. So it doesn't mean that he respects Salimpa more than others. So it's not like that. He respects all equally.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Think a little more. I'm going to learn what you call it. Wow. Now one study. This is all come from the 100 question. Some person never know. I remember now. I feel it.
Okay.
Did you use that term?
No, we didn't.
Did you do?
No.
Yeah. First you normally we do one tara. First we said, yeah, I forgot. We do it.
Okay. Okay. Let me know when you want to.
Okay, yeah. After, before dedication, okay?
Before the.
Yeah.
Okay. I start on page 39, and I'll do this